Equinox! We actually have sun today. I'm so excited.
I know. I was actually just going to go outside for this one. I thought I can do the rest outside now. It's so bright and sunny. But then because Elif and I she was a late party guest. Everything got delayed. What I have to do in between. So for those of you joining us, thank you. Welcome. This is the Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out. And we have the fabulously gorgeous Nicole Mignone.
Woohoo!
And we're going to be talking about making a fresh start.
Yeah. This is the perfect time. It's funny, when I lived in the North, the idea of fall, I was always so resistant, not about fall, but about winter, because I'm a Florida girl. I was born and raised in the South, like on the beach. So when I moved to New York and I lived in other places that had this, I was always nervous during the fall. And now I'm a little more relaxed about it, because to me, it helps, it really solidifies this whole concept of fresh start. Because what are the trees doing? They're pushing the leaves off. They're clearing and making way for the seeds that'll be planted in the winter, and then the new things that'll sprout in the spring. And so I'm a little bit excited about that. Not overly excited about the cold weather, but I do love the light through the trees, and I love this whole concept of getting things ready, a fresh start for what's coming, but also stepping back. That's why I love this whole equinox idea, stepping back and saying, wow, what a great year. Because it's been 9 months since the beginning of the year. That's a great gestation symbol, that whatever you started that was new, you can kind of look at what you gave birth to.
Right.
So it's really, I love it.
And for those that are in the Southern Hemisphere, it really is being spring, and it is a fresh start. So we're going to bring it all together with the song that you chose, which is
Nina Simone's New Day, New Dawn, New Life, and I'm feeling good.
There you go. Well,
I really love that inspiration of that song.
Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel.
This is the part.
It's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
So you're feeling good about your new day, regardless that it is coming into autumn in Germany.
It is. And I like that song. Sometimes, how we don't always wake up on the side of the bed that is the side we want to be on, but I always hear that song and it's like, okay, I get to start over. And that's one of the guiding principles that I try to help my clients see, and I try to walk the talk for myself, in that you can always start over. Like, in every minute you can start over. If something isn't working, something doesn't feel right, there's always an opportunity for a fresh start. And so that's really, someone asked already, the things are popping across the screen, like what it's about. This is about a fresh start, how to start over in any part of your life, all parts of your life, or even in the moment. If something's not feeling good, you can pause, take a breath. That's a new day. That's a new concept. It's a new start. So,
and can I just put in that she knows what she's talking about, because she has moved over. I think I have to point that way. I'm pointing this way, but you're over there on the screen. 30 times. Okay, so she's used to making a fresh start in all areas of her life.
I've made fresh starts, and yes, I moved 30 times over 30 times in 30 years now, because I just moved to Germany in June, and I was not a military child like my parents were in the military. This is all since the age of 20. So it's been change sometimes happens to you, or happens for you, I like to say, and sometimes we can be the impetus behind our own change. We can initiate our own change and start over. And I've changed careers, radical changes in careers, and so it's really been trying to listen to that voice inside that says I'm ready for something else, or it's time to allow change. Change, a lot of times people don't like change, but change happens whether we like it or not. We have a season change now. We have the change in light. We have the change in days. The sun sets, but it comes back up the next day. And I think that's what I also love about Nina Simone's song, is it just reassures that there is a new day, even in this moment.
Yeah, it's powerful when we really get present to every moment is new,
Mm-hmm.
Let alone every season, we're talking about every day, every moment we're in that space between choosing what we've maybe done before and what is possible.
Yes. And so the thought occurs to me to maybe explain a little bit about why I have this fresh start kind of concept. So yes, I've moved a lot. I've changed lifestyle. I've changed everything. I've changed relationships, changed jobs. But about 15 years ago, I was restless. There was some unfinished business in my life, and I quit being a yoga teacher and went to law school. And I became a bankruptcy lawyer, which has its own story that's for another day. But the point is that in practicing law, and people have, like, to me, sometimes when I tell people that I practice bankruptcy law, it's almost like they want to put garlic up against the vampire. That somehow we have this stigma that there's something wrong with declaring bankruptcy. And without getting into all the legalities of it, there's this concept in American bankruptcy law that is about a fresh start. And that's the whole concept, because when our country was founded, and even in our Constitution, we have a paragraph in there about starting over, that people should not be so burdened by their debts. Sorry about my camera. I don't know why we shouldn't be so burdened by our debts that we can't move forward.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, it's a metaphor. It's never about the money. And I watched people go through these challenges in their life, or they stuck it out too long because they felt this duty and this obligation, which is noble. And yes, there is this element of responsibility, and this is not a discourse on social choices and responsibilities. It's just more of a metaphorical sense. Psychologically, even if you're going through the process of bankruptcy, there's an emotional, spiritual, and mental aspect to that it would be wise to take the time to look at. And so you're not just clearing the slate financially, it's what decisions, what self-worth, what spiritual connection do you have to what money represents, the energy of that? And can you clear the slate from that? And sometimes we have relationships that are bogging us down with these self-inflicted obligations. And, declare, I'm declaring bankruptcy here. I'm wiping the slate clean and I'm starting over. And even in bankruptcy, financial bankruptcy, you get to declare what your assets are. You look at what your debts are. You sit down with the people you owe debts to. And so metaphorically, even in relationship, okay, these things are worth keeping. Let me try to negotiate something. This one's really too burdensome and it's not serving where I'm going. So I'm going to let this go. And just like the trees, this is great for this fall metaphor, the trees, and in spring, I'll get there in a second, but in fall, the trees push the leaves away because they need the space. They need the energy for something new. And in spring, we need that energy to break out of the seed shell, to break out of the seed so that the plant can grow. So you've got to have a clear garden. You've got to have a fresh start. You can't have weeds in your garden if you want your ideas to bloom. And so that's why I love the equinox is perfect. This is such a great idea that you had, because it's really about clearing the slate and allowing things to come in. And so that's how, because as a bankruptcy lawyer and I worked for the court system, so I got to see so many examples of people who, and their heart was in the right place and they just waited so long, and you don't have to wait so long. You can, and it doesn't have to be your whole life. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I'm not really a big fan of that phrase, but you don't have to it just comes out. You don't have to get rid of everything, but you could start in different areas of your life that are not working. And when I say not working, just things that don't feel good. If when you eat something that's a little almost spoiled or doesn't really resonate with your body, that you pick something else that does make you feel good, that nurtures you, and you can do that in your relationships, in your daily habits, in the way, in your work, in your hobbies, everything. You get to start over. You're not burdened by the choices you made yesterday. You get to choose again.
I think there's just so much in what you've just said, right? And the whole idea of using bankruptcy as the physical manifestation of a fresh start is huge. And I can just share that in my first marriage, my lawyer asked me if I wanted to sign a prenup. I was like, no, I don't need to do that, because I had just thought at that point the person I'd be marrying would be in the same sort of financial situation. I never thought to have him open his books and realize that he was living in overdraft and owed everything, because that concept just never occurred to me. So that went my finances during the course of the marriage. And I share the story and actually my little wealth transformation freebie, because I went to find out about bankruptcy law, and the person told me I could consolidate. And I took, I think it was $70,000. I consolidated it for less than $1,500, and I was cleared in 90 days. And because I honestly believed that this was a huge shift of my powerlessness being married and a wife, and I was clear of that. And I was starting a new day. And I've sent other people there to this person. I go, oh, you don't have to go bankrupt. Just go see her. You only have $20,000 of debt. And nobody else was offered the same deal. They either had to go bankrupt and pay $3,500 and have 7 years on the credit rating, or they're still paying their debt. So it's like when you're really ready to let go, which I was, it was just the universe works for you.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's your own resistance about a belief, because like you said, you had to get more information. A lot of times we keep doing things that don't necessarily feel good because we haven't been able to get more information.
Right.
Either inside of ourselves, like what do you really want? And if it doesn't feel good, and Abraham Hicks talks about this all the time, if it doesn't feel good, pick something that does, because that's an indicator there. And there is a slight difference between being uncomfortable because you're stepping into new territory, and then being uncomfortable or having discomfort because your intuition is telling you that's not the best path.
Right. So could you just maybe expand on that for somebody that's never actually sure of what's uncomfortable? I think of maybe when you first work out and you get a sore muscle. That type of is sort of uncomfortable moving in a new direction. And then there's the whole that put it on the brakes, don't go that way.
Right. That's a really great analogy, because in yoga, there's a point where you take yourself to the edge. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between kind of like a tugging, there's a tugging feeling in your muscles when you're stretching, and you should be able to still breathe into that space. I'd never really thought about it this way until just now, but if you can say, okay, and take a deep breath and expand and let go into that space, mm-hmm. It'll release. Awesome. But if you can't do that, if it's still you're like this, that's a no-go.
Okay.
Because your body is always in self-preservation mode, so your body really isn't going to let you do something to hurt itself. Now you could, there's external forces and things you could push, mm-hmm. and then there are results, there are always consequences. But yeah, if you can breathe into it, and this is great, I had never really thought about it this way, but that's to me the difference. There's that sharp pain, that takes your breath away. Mm-hmm. Okay, that then don't go there. And so if you're in a situation where you're not sure, Take a moment to try to breathe into it and see, okay, can I exhale into this and then find that space, that little piece, that space between the inhale and the exhale. Mm-hmm. And if not, then definitely there needs to be some more information.
Tweetable, breathe into that space.
Yeah, and yoga is, there's somebody else on here that just said she's a yoga teacher too, so she can totally relate. So it's, in yoga we teach, this conditioning of each breath, each practice is a new practice. Mm-hmm. And so we try to clear the slate when you show up each day. Yes, it's another day, and yes, it's a sunrise, but it's what you bring to that day. Mm-hmm. And that openness to something new, mm-hmm. that makes it different. That's really it.
Say more about that, because you have a new day, but what is it that you bring to that day?
So sometimes you wake up and you're either in the future, like, I got to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or, oh God, and please, I have been here many times, but, oh God, I got to go to this job, and I've got this boss, and I've got these coworkers, and I've got this same stuff, and you've already set your mind in all the things from yesterday that you don't like, mm-hmm. all the things from the past. And then it's not just job, like, it's relationship. So you wake up with your mate, or you deal with your family or your siblings or whomever, and a lot of times we have those filters on. We're showing up, how they showed up is how they're going to show up again. And the work is always, how do we let go of that, miss those past perceptions, and how do we say, okay, what's coming in today? How can I bring a new me? It's like, for instance, like if you go to a movie, like at Christmas time, everybody watches It's a Wonderful Life or whatever, or say there's some other movie that you love and you've seen it over and over again. Or a book. Say there's a book that you read that you've read before, but a book I read when I was 20, mm-hmm. and a book I'm going to read now, which is I'm more than 20, right? I have a little bit older than 20, so you have a different view. You catch things you didn't catch before, or words have a different meaning, or the experiences and the metaphors have a richness to them that they didn't have before because you bring this new experience. Those are the positive filters that we bring.
Okay.
And so the question is, when you make a fresh start, you're bringing the good stuff, mm-hmm. and you're letting go, like the trees, you're letting go of the things that aren't working anymore. And a lot of times we have such a resistance to letting go of things that don't work. And it's
simple little step to let that go when you know you've got a bunch of stuff, but you don't know where to begin.
So that's a great question. So a lot of times people are really clear, like, okay, I need to be healthier. And they're like, I'm going to get healthy. And we know from the coaching models and everything else, you need to be a little more specific. Mm-hmm. But for instance, like people who are going to quit smoking, a lot of times is, well, I've tried 5, 6, 7 times. I've never been able to stop smoking. So that may not be the way to go this time. So maybe this time you pick something a little bit smaller, or maybe you work on, okay, I'm going to work on my exercise, or I'm going to work on my sleep, or I'm going to work on my water intake. Like when a task feels really overwhelming, I really encourage people to find ways to break it down into something smaller. So you're not going to go out and start running the marathon. Maybe today you just walk 10 minutes. So, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes a day and see if I feel better. I don't have time to walk. Okay, I'm just going to walk for 5 minutes. I'm going to walk around my house twice. Like, just keep breaking it down, or I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk to the bedroom and walk back, or I'm going to clean the bathroom. Like, cleaning is the best way to clear your mind, because if you clean your desk or clean a drawer or clean something, declutter something, it is amazing the psychological impact that has. You know, if you're a guy, clean your toolbox, clean your car out, clean out your glove compartment, you know, just declutter something.
That is probably what you just said there, an aha if the women missed it. But think of all the times your husband or boyfriend said that they had to go clean the car. And you're like, no, we got all these other things to do. But they probably in the cleaning of the car were regrouping and getting prepared and making a fresh start of somehow to get ready for the next experience. Because guys love their cars.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because I don't have a car right now. My car is still in Florida. But honestly, when I was really feeling overwhelmed, I would go and wash and wax my car. And I'm talking hand wax. And yes. But our cars are our male energy. And when your car is clean and you've cleaned it, it's like it's somehow there's this like reset button about you vacuum it, you wax it, it's nice and clean, and something about that process, and it's very meditative. And it is amazing the shift energetically. Even if you run down to those little self-cleaning, you know, the little put in the 4 quarters and rinse it down, I'm not kidding you. It makes such a difference.
I love taking that hose and
It is. It's so therapeutic. And it's simple, right? It's 10 minutes of your time. Even taking it to the car wash, if honestly you just don't have enough time. But doing something simple like that is really, it has a psychological effect of organizing something or that thing. And that's, your car is like how you move and your male energy, and you're doing something and you're going. So if you're really feeling stuck, clean something.
Even if it's a little drawer, right? If it's
or your purse or your wallet. Oh my God, when was the last time you went through your wallet? Those little receipts and stuff. Like, who wants? It's like, get rid of it.
So they do this physical manifestation of clearing things, and they will notice something in themselves, right?
Yeah, you'll have this feeling, and it's going to be different for everyone, but I have yet to have a coaching client who hasn't like cleaned something or donated something to charity or cleaned something out that hasn't come back the next week and been like on fire. Like, oh my God, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. There's something about that process. So if you're really feeling a little bit stuck or overwhelmed, that could be just clean something. And even if it's your cutlery drawer or your cutlery or something, or the bathroom, it's just something.
And
to declutter.
For me, I find it's rearranging things. That's when I can clean those corners so it's just like I feel like, oh, I got to move the sofa, and then I go, oh wow, there's a cobweb behind here, and just knowing that that's been cleaned, even that, you know, it's like there's something about it. It's I don't know how to describe it until you do it, and then you just feel the difference, and you love the feeling, and you do it more.
Yeah, no, and that's another great point. I have a lot of clients who are solopreneurs, so they work from home. Some are like me, and they're a little more remote. But one of my clients, like every 6 months, she would either move her office to a different room in her house. She would rearrange the furniture. She would change the paintings on the wall. She would paint. She loved to paint the walls. I don't have the patience for that. But because she worked at home and she was there all the time, that's different than somebody who works outside the home and comes back.
Right.
So those are things to consider as well about like a fresh start. It's and to backtrack a little bit, if you're feeling some resistance in a particular area, maybe pick another area that's not so intimidating at first to make little baby step changes, and that will give you the momentum to make the bigger changes that you want.
So is that like saying, okay, you go, oh, I got 50 pounds to lose. And just the idea of saying, I got to start walking, or I got to start exercising or eating better, I already can feel that resistance. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you saying is like, maybe just go clean the bathroom. Because
maybe do that, or clean the refrigerator.
Okay.
Or go to the store and buy fresh fruit, or just, and sometimes what I do is I have people get a piece of paper, and you draw like a line down the middle, and you write down 50 habits that you want to get rid of.
Yep.
And 50 habits that you want to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to lose weight, and sometimes it's a matter of getting more information, but just for the basic, like just write it down. Write down 50 things you need to let go of and 50 things you want to adopt. And then find the one out of those 50 things, set a timer for 5 minutes. Pick something on there each week, one new thing a week. Mm-hmm. That you're either going to let go of or you're going to adopt. And I do encourage people to kind of, if you're going to let go of something, try to adopt something positive in its place so that you have that balance. But it doesn't have to be all at once. Like, there's no rush to the end of your life. Right. So, there's no hurry. And so it takes a year, and just find something that's fun. Like, if it's, oh my God, I have to do this, or I should do this, that's not really a fresh start. That's just drudgery. That's misery. That's what, in the medieval times, that's the hair shirt. They use a lot of times people would wear shirts that, like wool, like itchy, just to remind them that they were human and imperfect. And who needs that? Like, I could turn on the news for that. Yeah. So, pick something that's fun, something that's different, or try, another good thing to do besides cleaning is to just spice up. You walk a different way to the mailbox, or drive to work a different way, or just do something new and different to kind of just shift you out of that cog of repetition that you feel like you're in. And that's the fresh start. The fresh start will happen on its own, just like the seed will blossom on its, the seed breaks out of its shell on its own if you just let it.
Yeah, because really, we don't do anything to make the seed break out of its shell, right? It's just allowing it to, and first you got to maybe plant it. But I think that's the idea, is plant your intention of making a fresh start, and then the right answers will percolate, whether it's making the list or cleaning a drawer or going for a walk and finding a coach, or however that all materializes.
And it's all going to come from inside. And with the garden, you plant the seed, and then you just make sure that it's got the stuff it needs. Sunshine, or if it's still cold, you sometimes you cover it with a little plastic. You protect it from the wind. That little protection, I've sometimes, like, if you have ideas for change that you want to make, sometimes you need to keep that to yourself, because if you tell other people, they're gonna be the wind blowing it over. So what you need to nurture that seed, that idea, and get the weeds out and make the field and fertilize it and nurture it. And then patience. Patience. You can't yell at the plant to grow faster. It blooms when it blooms.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I've noticed over the years that when I look outside and I go, that grew. And it didn't necessarily rain, and it didn't necessarily have an abundance of sun, but somehow it grew, and yet those are the things that I had grown up believing, the water and the sun, it's still growing. And then sometimes it skyrockets, and you go, why did it skyrocket? It has a life force when you allow it. And I think that's what happens when you decide that you want to make a fresh start.
Absolutely. Or when you transplant. Like, I've noticed this too with houseplants. So, your plant gets too big for the pot. So what do? You put it in a bigger pot. Well, what has to happen? Sometimes the plant is like, and it drops all its leaves, right? Because it's like freaked out. But it takes time. You can't see what's going on underneath the soil there, but the little roots are growing, and they're getting situated, and they're like, oh, I've got room to grow here. And then it blossoms. So I think that's very similar to us. Like if we're going to make change, allow yourself the freedom and the space to do that and the time to get acclimated to that.
Yeah, because there's many things that are going on within you that you are completely unaware of, just like your heart beats all the time and you have no idea, or you're breathing and you're like, how am I staying alive? Like all that happens. So trust that when you're deciding and intending to make a fresh start, that things are working in your favor.
Always. Even if it's our judgment of what's happening and our it's the cursed hows that Mike Dooley always talks about in Infinite Possibilities. But when you start to hear that evil word should, that's a big flag right there that you're putting external pressure on yourself. So there's an inner part of you that wants a new beginning, it wants a new start. That's the part. That's the playful part. That's the part that's like, let's have an adventure, right? So make it fun. Like nobody says that a change has to be torture. That inner part of you is very playful. Just like when you go to the beach and there are waves in the ocean. So if you're playful, you look at the waves coming. That's the contrast, right, of life. Those are the things that we call challenges. You can either like move with the waves and jump in them and frolic and play, or if you stand rigid where you are, that's going to be a pretty tortured vacation, right? So it's kind of just enjoying, well, pick your playground, but I like the beach, so I picked the waves. But that's, the kind of idea of going with the flow or watching what's coming and moving with it and allowing it to be playful. And if it's not playful, that's a clear indication that you want to do something else.
Yeah, playing, having fun, and it becomes easier because you're enjoying the process instead of resisting. Yeah.
So for quitting smoking, why do you want to quit smoking? I mean, it's healthier. So what do you get to do when you're healthier? What kinds of activities? How will you feel, or what's the feeling you're going for? And like, there's all these positive benefits, the end result. And so that's where the focus is, not on, oh, this feels uncomfortable.
You know what I really like about this conversation, Nicole, is you're giving tangible, manageable examples. And it's versus so much, and I mean, I do it and you do it, is in this concept coming from yoga. You obviously do it. Like, you need to meditate, or that comes, right? That awareness and those comes. But to actually just start with physical, tangible examples that you can see and notice, and then become more aware of what's going on within yourself. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
And break it down, like definitely break it down. And the meditation thing, it's all in the buzz right now. And do I sit and meditate? Not anymore. Like, I go outside. I go to the trees. The trees are where I meditate. What is it that makes you present? What is it that allows you? Like, I like the way the light moves through the trees, and the whole idea of the sitting meditation is to practice being aware of what's going on in your world. If you can't sit, or pick something else that makes you present. Sometimes it's a hobby. Sometimes it's painting. Some people it's knitting. Right. Whatever it is, at first, do something that makes you forget about time. Or focus on your breath for 30 seconds. Count your breaths. 5 in, pause, 5 out. That could be a meditation. Like, break it down so that it's not so overwhelming, and that'll build your strength and your stamina to something else. And there were times in my life where I have been so incredibly stressed and overwhelmed, and felt like I was in this dark suffocating cave. And at that point, you just stop and breathe and just imagine as you're exhaling that you're letting go. You're letting go.
And making a fresh start.
Making a fresh start. And everyone, you do get a do-over. It's like that Etch-a-Sketch game when you were a kid that, I don't know,
Oh, yeah.
some people here might, like some of us, but I love that. Like when you had a car trip, right? That's what your parents gave you that. We didn't have these DVD players. So, and you like, make the little things with the squares and, oh, I didn't like that flower. So you shake it up and you start over. There's no sin in that. If it's not really floating your boat, if it's not making you feel really good here, then you don't have to stick it out. I mean, how many people have stayed in, can you raise your hand if you stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because you felt like you had to, or a job longer than you had to because you felt like you had to?
Okay, you guys have to like say yes that are watching because we can't see your hands being raised. Like, let's be honest now. Okay, like no hiding in the, oh, I didn't hear what they said. It's like, go ahead.
So that's the idea there. It's like, yes, you made this choice, and being clear that you're not just giving up because it's too hard, but more that if it's not working and in your heart something that's over. Mm-hmm. So honor the part of you that is restless or that is asking for something different. It may not be end the relationship or quit your job. It could be something else. It could be that you want to do something else in the way that you work. Like at your office, maybe it's that you meet some new people instead of the ones that you are working with, or maybe you switch your office around, hey, rearrange your office. But there are different things to try without having to just, cut the cord right off the bat. But also don't stay in something that is not nurturing you, that is not lifting your energy and making you feel at least at peace, if not excited.
Great stuff. If somebody here is just totally drawn to you here, whether it's now on this live cast or on the recording, where and how would you prefer that they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, so if people want to know more about what my guiding principles are, which I think I pretty much spelled it out and pretty simple, or clean the kitchen, yes. That's cute. You can go to my website and I can be contacted through that. And then I'll also post in the comments I have a Facebook page called Acadian Rhythm, and I have a lot of videos on there. I have a 4-video series that I've made available for free that is about a fresh start and just picking one little area and how to walk yourself through the process to create a little plan for yourself. And if I think those are probably the easiest ways to get more information if people are motivated and interested.
And you will be awesome and just post those in the comments too for those that go, what did you just say there? And so
yeah,
it's really easy to follow. And I love talking with you, Nicole. It's so much fun.
Likewise. You're always so positive.
It's a fresh start every time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone. Thank you for tuning in and for watching. And thanks for inviting me. I mean, there's everyone on the list. It's just, so much amazing talent today. Like, this is really enriching.
I know. Diffuse is all the way in Australia, and Nelta that commenting is in Ireland, and you're in Germany. I'm in Canada, and these waves are just all around the globe. So we've got great stuff all day long. So thank you again for being here. I love you.
Love you too. Bye. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.